Hey y'all, Bloodwing here, back to bring some grumpiness to your internet, and welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream where today you get an extra healthy side helping. Let's see what sounds good today. Of collard greens. That sounds good to me. Good old fashioned southern collard greens. Seems like it's been a while because it has been a while. And I'm glad to be back. Um, Looking out in chat. Hey, Functional, Jen, if you've made it back. Grillin' Pirate Pete, Della Hayes, Shady Grin, Clinton Whitaker, Green Thunder the Mighty. Welcome. um, but yeah, it's Willie the Hillbilly. How you doing? Number one. Hey. Um, y'all let me know, is my sound all right? Because I'm actually on my new computer. Well, new to me, it's refurbished. And so this is the first live stream I've done on that. I think my sound's all right, but let me know if it isn't. Um, Sound is good. Grilling Power Beat. Good, good, good. But yeah, it's been a time. Um, Worked some extra hours at my work because somebody called in sick. Willie the Billy says, my name used to be Willingham. Oh, hey, William. Beth Castleman, your sounds good. Good. Clinton Whitaker, if you want some Nexium, old man, when the pharmacy received an extra case in our order today. Deck Train, how you doing? Who are your Super Bowl picks? You know what? I haven't even thought about it. Honestly, I have not thought about it. Let me get back to you on that. Cryptic, yes, he's alive. Zombie Teddy. And like I said, I'm on my new desktop. It's a medium range desktop, gaming desktop, medium range gaming desktop. It's not high end, but it's not the lowest of the low. Um, and it works very good. Hey, Pat, I'm amazed at how well it's been working once I got it up and running. But that's a story I'll tell you here in a little bit. Um, I've been trying out my games on it. It'll handle all my games very well. Um, Try to put it in perspective. Um, I tried playing Ark, which the bad thing about Ark is I had a very big base and a big save game, and I can't play it because it loads me in as another character. There are cheat codes to give everything to me, and I'll probably end up doing that. Just make another character because I don't want to let that save go to waste. But yep, Dick Train. Yep, conference championship on Sunday. Um, but to put it in perspective, I could play Arc fairly smoothly usually. But I had to have it on the lowest of low settings. I mean, it was so low that it was not uncommon for me to be running along the ground and all of a sudden I can't run because there's something invisible in front of me. And what it was is a rock or a bush or something that had not loaded in yet. But I can now play it on medium settings, which is a huge improvement for me. I've also tried 7 Days to Die. I can play it on medium settings. And I had to play it on the lowest of low. That's just on single player. I haven't tried it multiplayer yet, but I had to play it on the lowest of the low and would still get lag sometimes on that game. So yeah, huge improvement. It's very upgradable. Like I said, it's not a very high end. I would call it medium to low range. I do have Discord. I had Discord before. I just couldn't use it, William, because it would crash my laptop. But it doesn't crash this one. But it's give you a rundown of the specs just to show you. It's like I said, mid range. It's an i5 processor, quad, 16 gigabytes of memory, a terabyte hard drive. Um, it's a GeForce 1030 GT, which is one of their lower end video cards that has 2 gigabytes of memory on it. So yeah, it runs very good for what it is, and it's very upgradable. So if down the road, if I get the money, I'm going to upgrade maybe the video card or put in some more memory, something like that. Um, it's it's very upgradable. Deck Train CPUs. I was looking at it earlier. A little bit over 32. Um, what is it? Megahertz or whatever it is, kilohertz, whatever. Um, so yeah, it does the job. It's far exceeds what my old laptop was. That is for sure. So this opens up things for me um, that I couldn't do on the old laptop that I've had in mind to do on my channel. So if I get the time, as long as they don't keep working me to death, uh, cryptic. Yeah, that's the other thing. But that's part of the story I'm going to tell you here. Um, I actually got the computer Sunday evening. It wasn't supposed to arrive till Tuesday, and while I'm at work, I worked Sunday. wasn't supposed to, but the 18-year-old called in sick both Saturday and Sunday. Now she's miraculously healed now that it's into the week. I have my suspicions. Hey, Maddie, I have my suspicions that she just didn't want to work the weekend, so she called it in. So I've got to work this weekend too, so that'll make three of them that I work in a row, and we're supposed to rotate her and I. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But while I'm at work Sunday, I get a email from Walmart that tells me that my package had arrived. It's Sunday evening. wasn't expecting it till Tuesday. So, well, cool. So I get home. Yeah, that's what I think, Pat. She just didn't want to work. But yeah, Maddie, if you want to call on, let me know. I'll send you a link. As you can tell, I'm on my own. I'm doing okay for now, but I don't know how long my voice will hold out. Um, left to my own devices. Um, well, good, Pat. Good. You get your new laptop. Hey, we're all moving up, all of us. All right. Give me a second, Maddie. I'll have to stop my story for just a second because you all know I can't do two things at once. Um, anyway, so I come home and sure enough, it's the computer. Now all I ordered was just the box. There was no monitor, no nothing. Although it wasn't supposed to, but it did come with a mouse and a keyboard. But I didn't need those. I had everything else I needed. Um, hey, Maddie.
Hey,
Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I just finished taping something that's going to be going up on my channel later. So
Oh,
edit
yeah.
that junk. Yep.
Hold on just a second, Pat. I'll shoot you one too. And I never know with you, Pat, because I don't know when you're working. um, anyway, go on with my story. So I take the laptop that Hammer had sent me, which I've contacted him on Twitter and thanked him very much. I didn't want him to think that I was not thankful for the laptop. It's just this suits my needs much, much better.
Oh yeah.
And it's upgradable, very much so. So it's better for my channel even further down the road. I can make this thing work with upgrades for, a few years to come.
Yep.
But he hasn't got back to me yet, but I have contacted him. So I took the laptop first that he'd sent me and wanted to erase everything off of it. I trust him with my personal information, but Google has links to my, hey Data, Jim Beam, how you doing? Yes, I did. Um, it has you can get into my YouTube channel, by just getting on the Google. So I wanted to get all that stuff off there before I sent it back to him, because I'm sure he's going to turn around and either sell it or give it to someone else. So I didn't want this stuff. So I erased all that, and then I started setting this up. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. Is that me echoing?
I don't know.
I didn't hear an echo.
Yeah, I'm not hearing an echo.
I don't know. Maybe it's just through my headphones. I got these new earbuds right here, and it's like every time you was talking, I was kind of like, "Is that me?"
Yeah. Well, with my new computer, I actually ordered some new gaming earbuds. They're specifically for games, and they've got a 12-foot cord on them. So the other one had a 3-foot cord, and every time I would turn my head while I'd be on stream, I'd pull them out.
I hate that.
But as I've went through why before, I have a hard time wearing headphones, so I have to wear the earplugs.
Yeah.
I think it's different for me. It's like I'm more of a headphone person than I am with earbuds. I got these right here because I need them. I'm ordering some more, but it's like these are gonna have to do until then.
Yeah. Oh, I feel you. I'd rather wear headphones, but I've never yet in the years and years that I've been around, I cannot find a set of headphones that are comfortable with my ears because they stick out so far. They're not big, they just stick straight out. And it's a curse. My oldest daughter and J Kid, Mama Minnie and J Kid, both suffer from the same affliction, and they have the same problem. Headphones just are not comfortable for us. But so I use the earplugs. Anyway, back to my story real quick. So I get everything off the laptop, I put it aside, and I start setting up the desktop.
Mm-hmm.
And I get in, of course, when I first fire it up, it wants to install Windows. It's pre-installed, but it has things it has to do, and it has to get me to sign in and all that. I get through all that. I'm online. Everything's working great. And I am nosing around, and I notice that the onboard video card is still activated. Now, let me reiterate that I'm very, very tired. I'm exhausted because I've worked extra hours. I've worked 2 days extra, and I'm just really exhausted. I really shouldn't have been messing with the silly thing. I was that tired, where you can't even think of your own name tired. I know we all been there.
Mm-hmm.
And in my older days of building computers, I know you had to disable that to get the card that you installed to work right. So I went to do that without thinking, and as soon as I disabled it, everything went black.
Oh,
I'm like, holy crap, what do I do now? How do I get that going again if I can't see anything?
Oh boy.
Because now a monitor won't work. And I'm like, oh crap, no. So I'm staying up. I can't stay up too late because I got to get my grandkids off to school in the morning, and I had to work again Monday. Monday was my scheduled day.
Right.
But I was trying. Hey, RVA Dar. I was trying to figure it out. I looked online, and evidently I'm not the only idiot that's ever done that, because it's all over online. But everybody said to take the CMOS battery out And for those of you that may not know what that is, it's a little like coin-sized battery that's in there that keeps your BIOS on your mother card, keeps the time on it whenever it's powered off. They said take it out, leave it out for like 2 minutes, put it back in, it'll reboot the BIOS to factory defaults, and then you'll be able to see. Didn't work. It reset the clock all right, but that's all it did. I'm like, oh geez, I'm screwed. Got to be something that I can do. And I even tried, this motherboard has a little button for reset. Well, it wasn't working. Thankfully, this case comes apart real well. This is not like a tower that sits straight up. It sits flat on your table. You know what I mean? And the top case just has a little handle you lift up, and the whole it's done. No screws, no nothing. So here I am. I'm like, oh man, I'm getting so mad at myself. I got a brand new computer, and now I can't use it because I've disabled the video. What am I gonna do? And I'm looking all over the internet. I finally, right before bedtime, I give up and I contact the company that I bought it from. You know, I bought it through Walmart, but Walmart had it shipped from another company. All right.
Okay, whose phone is buzzing?
It's not mine. You might. Oh, it's my wife's. It was sitting on the same desk that my microphone is on, so I didn't hear it. But evidently, you were picking up the vibration through the microphone.
Yeah. So that data wasteland answer the damn phone.
Yeah, but I'm getting to the end of the story, guys. I promise. But here I am, and I contacted them, and of course they're closed. They're only open like 9 to 5 Central Time. All right, and by now it's midnight on Sunday night, and they're not open on Sundays anyway. So I contacted them. I found a little app on their website that you could leave them a message and they'll get back to you. And I I think it went something like this. I told them what I did. I was being an idiot. I said, I don't want to be that idiot that fries their computer, you know, the day they get it. Please help. And they got with me the following morning, but or the following day, but I was at work because I had to work Monday. So Monday night when I got home, and their message was, can I ask how you're hooked to the internet or to your monitor? Well, I was hooked up with the VGA cable, you know, your standard VGA cable, you know what I mean? It got the little 2 screws in it and everything. And I was using that old TV that I brought in that was hooked to the laptop. And I said, I even tried using the HDMI cord because the back of the GeForce card doesn't have a VGA hookup. It has an HDMI hookup and some other hookup that I don't recognize, but HDMI. And it didn't work. But I got to thinking. I said, wait a minute. What if there's a problem with this old TV because it's set out in the shed for a year?
Yeah.
What if there's a problem? What if with the HDMI hookups? So I've got another TV that's 50-something inch, and it was in the bedroom. So I grabbed that TV, I brought it out here. I've got all these monitors because I was trying other monitors too to try to get them to work. I had like 2 monitors and 2 TVs sitting all around me in the floor. And I take the HDMI cord and I hook it to the new TV, and it worked. Evidently, the HDMI ports on that old TV aren't working for whatever reason. And I'm dancing. I'm literally dancing in the front room. Yes, I'm back in business. Got it loaded up, re-enabled that video card. But then it occurred to me, if I'm watching it through the VGA cord, I'm not getting the benefit of this GeForce card because that's hooking straight into the onboard video card that it came with, right?
Right.
So, okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to leave this big TV in here, which I know 50 something inch isn't that big. I mean, it's decent size, but when it's literally only 3 feet from your face, it's pretty huge.
Yeah.
It's pretty huge. I've been playing games on it, and like I have to turn my head to see each side of the screen. But anyway, so I get in. Oh, cool. I'm back on. So I get to filling it around, and I'm trying to set the desktop up the way I want it. I want to change the picture, to something I want. I want to change the color scheme, change it to dark mode, uh, you know, uh, all that stuff. Well, in any Windows window, like your system window or whatever, I'd open it up and you try to scroll down and it's jumping all over the place and you can't click anything. So I sent that company another email saying, do you know what would cause this? And I had already emailed them saying, never mind, I got it figured out. I know I sound like a big dummy, but I really am good with computers. Was too tired. I shouldn't have been messing with this. Sorry. And I worked and worked and worked and worked on that for hours. Trying to get that to quit because I couldn't set anything. It was just jumping all over the place. Now, the Google window or any other application, it wasn't doing that. Just any Windows system window. Figured it out several hours later, about 1 o'clock in the morning. I had my gamepad hooked to it, and the gamepad had got flipped over and was pushing the thumbstick up. And that's what was causing everything to jump up. So I emailed this company back, said, never mind again, I'm being stupid. When they got open, they finally emailed me back and said, don't worry about it, with a big smiley face. Contact us if you have any more problems. I said, okay. But since I quit being dumb, got my head back on straight, it's working fantastic. I mean, it's been a long time since I've had a computer that will just do what I want to, and everything's so fast. I open a browser window, boom, it's open and loaded. It boots up really fast. I've been playing my games. Played a little bit of Saints Row the Third, which was playing well on my laptop. But on this thing, the first thing I thought was, I don't remember the cars driving this fast. Oh, crap. I got to relearn how to drive these cars again because this thing's just so much faster.
Yeah, I had the same problem when I went from my first laptop back in the Roach Trap to the computer we lovingly nicknamed the Beast when I was playing League of Legends, because you get used to it at one speed and one FPS setting, and then you get this thing that's supposed to handle all this at all these high speeds, and I get into a game and Ronan hears me go, oh shit, I gotta learn to play this all over again.
But yeah, I was actually off Tuesday, but I didn't stream because I wanted to get everything figured out on this computer first. And I thought, well, maybe I should let them know on Twitter. And I'm like, no, they know if I don't show up, I'm either working or something's going on. So, yeah, that's been my last several days. Other than work trying to work me to death, I'm being stupid and trying to ruin my new computer. Which I also ordered a little cheap webcam to use, because I had used the one on board on my laptop, and well, of course, a desktop doesn't come with one. But they told me, well, that order had been canceled for whatever reason. I assumed it was out of stock or something. Went out to the mailbox the other day, and there's the webcam, and they didn't charge me for it. I'm like, okay. I don't know. But I'll probably let them know, if they don't charge it, because they'd already backed off on my charge. They refunded me the money already for that. But I just can't. I'm just as happy as a pig in mud, like I said earlier, I tried it out on Arc. And Arc, I had to play on the lowest of low settings. You could not set it any lower in order to play that. And I can now play Arc on medium settings, which is great because I can actually see the plants and the trees. It looks so much prettier. I tried it on 7 Days to Die, set on medium settings, which before, even in a single player, I had to have it set it on the lowest, and I would still get lag. Now I can set it, play it on medium in single player, and not a bit of lag. Looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it looks good because it looks a whole lot better than what I'm used to. I did test it on Star Trek Online, and yes, I will. I haven't done it yet. Probably won't be this week, but next week there will be a new episode of Redneck Trek.
Yay.
But you know, I wanted to get everything set up and figured out on this new computer before I even tried. But I did attempt to play it. My gosh, it looks so much better. You guys will see the difference because I did try the. You know, I had to find something else to record it with since I'm on a different computer, and I tried the one that comes with Windows. A lot of people don't know that Windows 10 has its own recorder on it. You just because they don't really advertise it, but if you hit the window key and G, it comes up. And I recorded it with that, and oh my gosh, it looks so sharp and clear, and just you know, it just looks really great. So I'm just really happy right now.
You have a new toy and you're playing with it.
Yeah, I've been off for a few days, for a couple of days. I actually was supposed to have 4 days off in a row. I was off Tuesday and yesterday and of course today. I'm supposed to be off tomorrow, but I got a pretty sneaky suspicion that I'm going to get called in to at least do the truck because I'm betting the 18-year-old calls in again.
That mysterious weekend illness.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Last Friday, she just come in. I closed, but she came in to do the truck, and she was moping around the shop the whole time and all that. And I asked her, I said, what's wrong with you? She didn't say I'm sick. She didn't say I'm not feeling good. She says, I'm not doing so well today. And she just acted depressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she didn't even want to be there. Like she, you know, of course, none of us want to be there. I don't like to work. I do it because I got to.
Yep.
Well, she doesn't have a car. She only lives about 2 blocks away, so she walks most of the time. But it was raining on Friday. So one of my coworkers took her home. She said that the minute she got in the car, she was just all bright and chipper and everything was great. I'm like, yeah, she had the blue flu. But I don't know. You know, I needed the extra hours. And so I picked up 2 extra days. But like to kill me by the time I was done with it. But yeah, so that's been my last several days. How are you? You got real quiet, Pat. Did I talk you to death? Pat?
Yoo-hoo. He's
Evan-
muted. I don't know.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I think the thing was on mute right here. So, like I said,
Oh,
these things yet.
you weren't talking, you know, and we weren't hearing you, were you?
Yeah, I was hearing everything.
Yeah, Deck Train says she's a teenager, and what do you expect? Now, like I said, I'm really happy about the new computer, and I'm not going to say who did what or what because I know they don't want to be pointed out, but I do want to again thank Hammer because he kept me online, even though I'm not keeping that laptop. He kept me online on a time when I wasn't going to be able to on my own.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll never forget that. And thank you very much, Hammer, if you hear this. Thank you to Cryptic RVA Dar, and I cannot remember the other person's name that offered to build me one, but thank you also. You guys have been wonderful, and it's you know, it's just great. What my subs are just the greatest in the world. They've been awful good to me. Gonna
You're Papa. We gotta take care of Papa and Papa.
yeah.
That's the way it goes, man.
Yeah. So enough about me and my trials and tribulations and good fortune. So how are y'all?
I've been doing good. Just work.
Yeah.
I said like working, then messing around on Twitter is always. There's never a day
I
without.
seen. Was it earlier today? I seen. I think it was earlier today. You put out something that said test, or was that yesterday? Pat.
That was me. That was me. Test. That was my. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Like I said, with these things right here, like I said, I can't wait till I get my headphones back because I'm not used to these things. Right? But the test thing was me like testing like a little snippet of some music right there, just to see if it was going to get like copyright struck. Because on my Psycho Rich channel, I'm about to do like rest in peace thing on Vanity, like Denise Matthews, and I was going to use one of her songs, and I was going to see if it was going to get like copyright struck.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. Which I don't mind getting copyright struck and things like that, to where you can't monetize and all that right there, because this channel is new and I can't monetize any damn way.
Yeah.
But I hate when you get
Blocked.
copyright struck and they just block you and all that right there. I'm like,
yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's a tiny bit.
Thank you, Cryptic, for donation. Just consider it payback for not dying yet. ... Yet. Well, we're all going to die someday, and the day is coming for me probably sooner than a lot of you out there in chat. But we're all going to go sometime.
I just want to make sure I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly. RB8R says, I feel odd calling Blood old man. We're almost the same age. Hey, well, whatever.
Other than that, I've been messing around on Twitter, hey, I got Mindy Robinson to and thanks to her for sending about 100 people my way who had fought me because of what I put down a thread talking about between her and the whole Cardi B spat that she had like a couple of days ago. Oh my God. That mess right there was like, I don't know what was, well, I know it was worse, man. Like Cardi B, like, oh my God. You have never seen such illiteracy and such stupidity until that woman opens up her damn mouth, or at least tweets on,
Oh, I know.
online.
I can imagine. I'm not real familiar who Cardi B and all that is, but I mean, I kind of know, but
yeah, she's a booty shaking rapper and things like that. Like same ones, like I said, kindergarten rhymes and just shakes her butt and stuff like that, and that's how she got famous. So of course, she's gonna drop. I think she's gonna drop down a tweet saying something talk about how Congress is and all that right there. She's like, maybe I should go back to school and I should, run for Congress and things like that. So of course, that blew up. So Mindy Robinson, she had added her 2 cents in, kind of threw a little shade at Cardi, saying that her cat had a better chance of,
thank you, real quick. Thank you, RVA Dart, for the donation. No comment, but thank you for the donation. Okay, go ahead.
Just thinking about it just kills me. But yeah, but she said her cat had a better chance at at being elected Congress than Cardi B. So of course, that led Cardi B up, and she started tweeting at Mindy Thomas and things like that. Some of the most dumbest illiterate stuff that you ever seen, man. This woman can't spell, can't type, can't speak, can't. How did she become famous?
Yeah,
I know.
I don't know. There's a lot of lot of people out there these days that I'm like that with, that I like. How'd they even get famous?
She became famous by shaking her ass. That's all it is. She can twerk.
Right.
But hey, Lindsay. Oh, which reminds me, I'm going to shift gears here for a second. Most of you know that I had a stream set up on Saturday, and most of it was going to be in tribute to Neil Peart, because it had just been announced that he'd recently died. Now, if you don't know who Neil Peart is, he was the drummer for the band Rush, and I'm a big fan of Rush. There are certain celebrities when they die that hit you hard, that kind of hit a string with you, and this was one of them for me, because literally Rush was my teen years. Through all that roughness that is teenage years, Rush was always there to make me happy. And yeah, that one kind of hit me hard, so I did want to at least mention it. Rest in peace, Neil. Neil was always uncomfortable with celebrity. He didn't like, it wasn't that he didn't like the fans, it just made him very uncomfortable, the fan worship. So he wouldn't even sign autographs and things like that. He left it to his other bandmates to do. And so I figure now he finally got to be alone and got his peace. And if you know much about Neil, he had a pretty rough life. His wife and daughter died and all this stuff. So yeah, but I did want to at least take a minute, since I had not had opportunity through this mess I call a life lately, to say so. And yes, Cynical, his nickname was the Professor. Yeah. So yeah, rest in peace, Neil. Aviator says, wow, it wiped a comment. What comment? I'm not surprised. Chat's been doing that lately, and I'm not doing it. It's YouTube.
It's YouTube. I do have.
Yeah, when you say certain words, it'll delete the whole comment.
Because YouTube and Twitter and all them are teaming up to be the Ministry of Truth.
Oh God.
I do have an announcement though, because when I set goals for this year so I can actually not feel like a bump on a log for a change, and one of those is to find 3 clients to write for, do regular freelance work for. Well, I got 2, and the third one is going to call me tomorrow, but the third one may actually take over the other 2, because for those of you that weren't around on Blind Press's stream when I did this announcement, I am in talks with somebody that is going to give me writing credits for screenplays for television shows and movies.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So part of me is jumping up and down like a 12-year-old at Christmas, and the other part of me is biting my nails going, oh, shit.
Yeah. Real quick, Dick Train says Rocky Johnson died. The Rock's dad, I assume you mean?
Yeah, that's one I'm thinking of right there. The wrestler.
Yeah, and Cynical Lindsay says, wish you could have been there with us with Irate Prostate did his Neil Peart tribute show. I do too. I wished I could have. I was at work when you sent that tweet, Cynical, or sent that DM on Twitter. So yeah, I couldn't make it. I was had to work, but yeah. So well, that's good news, Maddie. That's great. I think I'd be scared to death though.
Yeah, because it's I'm excited. Half of me is excited, half of me is nervous, and then there's a still small voice in the back of my head that's steadily praying that I'm not going to be working for an SJW, because that'll be a real short assignment for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You go into, I know what my mind frame would be, is going, well, I hope this isn't the last time I do this for him.
Right. Right. There was other news on the literature front, actually. The head scholar and son to a very famous author, Christopher Tolkien, passed away at the age of 95.
I seen that it was on trending Twitter. That was a mix of Twitter and trending. I seen it was trender on Twitter. I did not click on it to see what it was about yet. So he passed away, huh?
Yeah, he passed away at the age of 95. There has been a cast confirmed for this is more or less what the not going to go into depth because I'm going to do the video about this, but there has been a cast set for the Amazon Prime Lord of the Rings series.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And the rumor that has been flying around for the past 2 years that season 1 is going to revolve around Aragorn as a child has been debunked.
Yeah, it was my understanding. The first I heard about it is it's going to be set in that world, in that universe, but it's not going to involve any of the characters that we know, at least not majorly. Maybe in passing or something like that. But
it is. It's been confirmed that it's going to be set in the Second Age, which is before all of the characters that everybody has gotten to know.
Oh, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, big Tolkien fan. Yeah. I even read the Silmarillion, so. You have to be a big fan to read that, to muddle your way through that thing.
They said that they are giving them some creative license to do what they want, but they are stipulating that it has to stay in the Second Age and B canonical. It cannot go against any Tolkien's canon that he set forth for the world.
Well, that's going to be a tall order too, because there's a lot of canon.
Yes. So
considering everything that's been published even after his death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, that's hope that the series is not going to be, SJW in nature, because I'm sure the Tolkien estate has, if they even get a whiff of that in any of the scripts, they're going to go, rewrite this. That's not canon.
Well, good. At least it'll keep them on track. It's not going to be another Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Cynical says, I was talking about doing another Rush-related stream. You have, of course, invited. If I'm not working, which I never know anymore, evidently, I would, I'd be glad to. Sure.
Doug Tran, Maddie, what do you think of the GOT? I haven't read the Game of Thrones books. I only watched up to the end of season 4, which all my friends are telling me good. Don't watch beyond that point because it goes downhill. So I'm neither here nor there about the Game of Thrones prequel series. However, while I was doing research for the Lord of the Rings series, there's another series I got to do research for, keep my eye out, and possibly report. It's going to be on Amazon Prime because apparently the Wheel of Time series is coming to Amazon Prime. That's another biggie.
Yeah. I haven't got into that one, but I am aware of it. I have read the first Game of Thrones book. I forget the name of it, but I have read it because my daughter had it and it was available to me, so I read it. But that's the only one that I've read. And I did watch this series. I forget what season I ended with. What number it was. It was when, what's his name? Jon Snow was supposedly killed, quote unquote. So that was the last I've seen of that one.
Yeah.
Cynical Lindsay says, my husband pointed out that Tolkien's grandchildren run the estate now and that he doesn't exactly trust them. Well, I hope they hold true to Tolkien's vision, though, because it's a very rich universe.
It is.
Dance of Fire and Ice. Yeah, that's it.
Somebody says you left off as he's a 5.
Yeah.
We have fellow geeks in the chat.
Well, yeah. Just because I'm an old guy doesn't mean that I'm not a nerd. I was a nerd before you all were. I mean, I was ground floor on computers, I was around when they first came to be. When I was a child, a computer was something that filled entire rooms, these big, huge things, big IBM computers and stuff.
For me, the most popular thing when I was a child was Atari.
I had an Atari. Well, my cousin had an Atari, and he let us borrow it for several months when I was a teenager, when it first come out. The Atari 2600. But our first gaming system was Pong. And that's all it played was Pong and the hockey version of it and a handball version of it. It only played the 3 games. You couldn't change the That's all it played. But it was the first one on the block, and all the kids in the neighborhood come over to play. But
I had the one with all the big, like, you know, the big clunky like cassettes and things like that. You have to shove them deeply up in there. Oh, it was nice too. Like I said, having all the football, the Frogger, the Wizard and Warriors, man, the Cubert.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cryptic, thank you for the donation. Ark is your life story, ain't it, old man? I'm not that old. I don't remember dinosaurs. Seriously. But yeah, I mean, lots changed since I was a kid. Actually, it kind of reminds. When I was coming home from work, I was just too tired to even do anything when I was working because I worked so many days, and so I would just turn on Netflix and veg out. You know, wouldn't even go on Twitter, wouldn't do nothing. And I like documentaries, and I found this. It's a British show that is interesting to me. I don't know if you all would find it interesting, but it's interesting to me. It's called The Repair Shop. I guess it's a new series on Netflix. And it's a group of people. They take old antiques, and they don't even necessarily have to be antiques, just old objects that at least mean something to their owner, and they repair them and refurbish them. And it can be anything. I've seen them do teddy bears that was almost like, you know, the teddy bear was like 70 years old.
Yeah.
And they refurbished it. A painting, you know, several clocks, big clocks, little clocks. They even repair broken pottery. And you can't even tell where it's broke. I just find this fascinating. First of all, I like looking at the old antiques, you know, it's kind of cool and hear the story behind them. Like that teddy bear I was talking about belonged to a woman that was alive during World War II during the Blitz. And she had that teddy bear and it helped her through that whole period. She was a little kid, you know, and she carried it with her through the Blitz. You know, if you know history, a lot of the kids were moved out of London and moved into the countryside, and she had to do that and took that teddy bear with her and all that. But in latter years, a puppy dog had got a hold of it and chewed one of the ears off and chewed an arm off and kind of messed it up. So these people refurbished it, but not to the point. She said she still wanted it to look old, you know, but she wanted it fixed. And so they did. Mr. Dax says, "Oh, that sounds interesting." No, it's called The Repair Shop. And I find it very interesting. If you like antiques and if you like shows where they repair things and show how they do it, you'll like this. And I do like those sort of things. I've always been mechanically minded. I mean, I spent 13 years working in car shops. And I like seeing how they do those repairs and fix things. It's very interesting.
I used to like watching the show. I can't remember if it was on True TV or TLC, where people would roll in with like old appliances and stuff, and these people would have to like sandblast it in order to, you know, restore it back to the era in which it first was made. I can't remember the name of the stupid thing because they completely refurbished an old PepsiCo vending machine.
Oh yeah. Well, the last episode I watched, they refurbished a 1957 Wurlitzer jukebox that hadn't worked in 20 years, and made it work, and that was really cool. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything like extremely old. There was one episode where a guy that's a big, he's a big Doctor Who fan. And he had these little toy Daleks that were supposed to talk when you hit the button, and they had quit working, and he brought them in. They refurbished those. They were made in the 70s and got them talking again. So, yeah.
I just found it on Netflix. I'm going to check it out later on.
Yeah, it's very interesting if you like that kind of stuff. I'm really enjoying it, and they have experts. This is they have a porcelain expert, they have a pottery expert, they have a clockmaker, they have a woodworking expert. You
Oh,
know,
so they got a whole crew just ready for anything.
oh yeah, whatever's brought in there. There was a piece of furniture. I forget what they called it, but it was like a stand-up desk. It was a certain kind of desk that was brought in. That this thing was darn near kindling. Some people had broke into their house and busted it open to
Oh
see if
man,
there was anything in it. Just really tore it up. Big chunks of it missing, and they fixed it, put it back together using as much of the original wood as they could, and you cannot tell it. One whole side of it was split from top to bottom, and they fixed it, glued it back together, and fixed it to where you could not even tell. It just really interesting stuff. But TOS says, I love Repair Shop. Well, I've just happened on it. I didn't know that it existed. I was looking for something to watch where I could just watch and not have to think a lot, because I was so tired. I just wanted something on in front of me, really, basically. And yeah, very, to me, it's very interesting stuff. But like I said, I've always had an interest in how things are fixed. It just fascinates
yeah.
me.
Mhm. Like there was especially like those discovery shows and things like that. I've always liked those on Netflix besides the anime, which I basically tend to like going up with the goddamn tongue tie. I went to like Crunchyroll and things like that to get like the really good anime because a lot of the anime on Netflix now it's like it's got like one or two seasons, and after that you got to go somewhere else to like find the rest.
I
Like
hate
Mhm.
that's the reason why I went to Crunchyroll because I started watching Fairy Tale, and it's only got the first season. So as soon as I started getting into that, I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
I found it on Crunchyroll where I had to watch it in Japanese because I was gonna. It's on Funimation, but I'm kind of like mad at Funimation right now with the whole Vic thing still. So it's like it's gonna be a while before I will forgive them.
Yeah.
yeah.
This show for me is kind of like a mix of American Pickers. If you've ever seen that show, those guys that go around and dig through people's trash and find, antique signs, whatever, and sell it.
I've seen some of it.
And a repair show. It's kind of like a mix between the two because you get to see all these old antiques, and it's like, oh wow, that's really cool. Like they had a hay baling machine that was over
Mhm.
100 years old. It was made before the Industrial Revolution, and that's how they made hay bales. It was, of course, hand operated. It was like a press. You had to turn it, and it sent the press down, smashed it down. They fixed that. And, Mr. Dax says it's interesting to see them take the items apart and satisfying when they clean the parts and put them back in. I tell you what, I'm amazed every time they have an episode where there's a clock to be fixed because they have a very good clock fixer, clockmaker, I guess he's called. And clocks have all these tiny little bitty gears and parts, and he'll take that thing completely apart and clean all the parts up and somehow remembers how to put it back together.
Mm.
There's like hundreds of these tiny little gears, and that no bigger than a BB.
Mm.
Like, how does he do that?
Yeah, must been doing it for quite a while to where he got the patience to like.
Oh yeah. Well, some of the parts are so tiny he has to wear magnifying glass in front of his face, so he can see them.
He's been doing that for I'm saying for quite some time to where it's like he's got it down to an art.
Tech Train says they're remaking Walker Texas Ranger.
Oh,
Seriously?
seriously,
They need to just stop with the
I'm
stop. Just stop. Stop.
Are there no new
I'm so tired of
ideas?
these remakes.
I mean, come on. Chuck Norris is Walker Texas Ranger.
Uh-huh.
It's
I agree.
just is.
Yeah.
End
Mhm.
of story.
Yeah. Oh, and there is good news from the James Bond front. You know how everybody has been collectively holding their breath because there's been stuff coming out saying that there was going to be a female 007?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the producer, the producer won. What's her name again? Barbara Broccoli told Variety it would definitely be a man. He can be of any color, but he is male, said Broccoli, a producer of the film, alongside Michael G. Wilson. The Bond franchise is one of the movie world's most lucrative, with the 2015 Spectre and Skyfall. Broccoli said she believed in creating strong female characters, but added, I'm not particularly interested in taking a male character and having a woman play it. I think women are far more interesting than that.
Yeah. First of all, Random Americans says, talk about Chuck Norris. Isn't he old enough to be using a walker? He is. But I'll tell you what, I've seen that old man recently. He had an advertisement that was out. I wouldn't mess with him.
No.
I would not mess with that old man. There's no way. As far as 007, I'm not a huge 007 fan, but I've seen some of the movies. I wouldn't have a problem with a female agent in the same agency that he's in, but don't call her Jane Bond or something,
It's not a porn.
What I like is it's a female
probably.
That's what I like is the fact that this is a female producer for those movies saying, no, he's male, he's going to stay male, and we're not going to tokenize him, for any particular reason. And I'm like,
that's what I'm tired of, the token remakes. We're going to take this well-established character right here, and we're just going to change the sex or the race or the this and that and all that right there because, we got these ideas that we want to try something else with, but we're not sure if they're gonna, I say what's the word I'm looking for? Fly with the new audience and things like that. So we're gonna take this well-established stuff right here in hopes that we can make something with this, and all they do is just mess it up.
Just come up with something new. Come on.
Exactly. Like how they did, they brand new and they had to work with it. I'm saying it took years, decades of things like that to become what it is right now. These people want sex overnight. That's their problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then you had, the all the negative buzz around Tumblr craps snore. I mean, that. Because I'm not going to call it what they're calling it, because that is not Thundercats. I'm sorry, it's not.
Oh, God.
Right. Like I said, Tumblr craps snore.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, it ain't. Yeah, they're right. It ain't for me. I say I will stick to my original.
Also, I mean, it's like I'll even admit, from somebody who has seen the 1980s one and then the 2011 one. Okay, I will admit the 2011 one is an improvement upon the original, but this crap that just came out is not Thundercats. I'm sorry, I refuse. I reject that reality. That I don't know what that is, but that is not Thundercats.
No. That is some. Not that I'm saying not as that I'm saying that he's She-Ra. It's like
she, him, and the princesses of Shippery.
Now
if they made this and made it clear that okay, this is a parody, the new Thundercats, I wouldn't have as much problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a parody. Okay, I see that. I get that. But because, Thundercats, even though it was a kid's cartoon, was a serious kid's cartoon. Mm-hmm. It took itself serious.
And let's face it, the original one came out at the time where they were trying to make cartoons so they could actually market toys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and which was a thing in those days. You had He-Man and Transformers and all that stuff. That's was the whole purpose.
Yep.
Pupper.
Yep, Pupper.
Yeah, the market.
Yeah, I mean, in the 80s, there was a period there where a lot of these cartoons come out, and the whole point behind them was to sell their toys.
Yeah.
Now they're just trying to push.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they're just trying to push politics.
Yeah.
Well, but if they compare that, and what really makes my eye twitch is when they sit there and go, well, all the artwork from the earlier iterations of those animated series were crap compared to this. How can you say it's crap? Because all I see is a gelatinous blob hopping across the screen when I'm looking at this Thunder crap shit.
Yeah, I mean, And like I said, their whole purpose was to sell toys, but the cartoons became popular in and of themselves. They sold a bunch of toys, no doubt about it. But they become popular. As I've mentioned before, that's J Kid's favorite cartoon. He has them all on DVD, the original 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
Cartoon. And speaking of, I know he won't hear it because his internet's out right now, but happy birthday. His birthday was the 12th. He's pushing that 40 mark. He's not there yet, but he's pushing it. But
it's a milestone.
Yeah. G.I. Joe and the Transformers were literally tour commercials on 20 minutes long television. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, when I was a kid, G.I. Joe was 12 inches tall because I had one.
Yeah. They kind of shrunk as time went on.
G.I. Joe first introduced me to what maturity is. Because it was the first time I looked, man, I saw Baroness and I'm like, wow. Forget your Lady J, forget Scarlet. Baroness, man, she had them all beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There's no original rhetorical entertainment. It's I had the 12-inch tall G.I. Joe, and I also had Johnny West, which was another tall action figure of the day who was a cowboy. And there was also, in the spirit of being inclusive, and we're talking in the 60s and early 70s, there was Jane West. So, yeah. Because my sisters had Jane West. So
now looking back on it, were there corny, cartoons back then? Yes. I mean, there are some cartoons I can't sit down and watch again. Brave Star, I'm like, oh, I used to watch this. That and Battle of the Planets. I mean, there's plenty of them that, as a kid, you really like. You try to go back to watching them as an adult, and you're like, oh, what did I see in this thing as a kid?
Well, to be honest, I would have a hard time sitting through He-Man now.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty hokey.
Oh, I get lost in He-Man, like shoot. As soon as that come back on, oh shoot, I'm back. I'm back as a little kid with a big ass, one of them big old country truck things full of cereal.
Yeah, I mean, the 80s was
the power of Grayskull. Shoot, it takes me back.
Yeah.
I mean, well, see, I was an adult by the time those come out, though. All those. So I have a different perspective on it than you guys, because you've seen them as kids. I saw them as an adult for the first time. And yeah, the 80s was full of cartoons that were there to sell toys. They were. And so you take those for what they are. You take it for what it is. I mean, there's one of those cartoons, the Transformers, look, there's been movies made of Transformers. It took off.
They were a comic book too.
Yeah, and it was just all from a comic that was there to sell toys. Yep. That's all it was.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the same way.
Yeah, well, it was there to sell toys, but it was based on a comic.
Yeah.
The toys were based on the comic, and then the cartoon come along to sell the toys. Actually, I seen a documentary on that, and the toys came around after the cartoon. It wasn't long after, but that's another interesting documentary. But I kind of look at it like this: when I was a kid, 60s and the cartoons prior, 60s and prior, were just cartoons, and some of them were really great. You have the classics, of course, Flintstones, Jetsons, Popeye, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Mr. Magoo, all those. Then you hit the 80s, which was all to sell toys, most of them. And in my opinion, then came the 90s, and we had a return back to more that weren't necessarily to sell toys, although they might have sold toys off of it. That wasn't the main purpose of it. And I thought that it was kind of a return, maybe like a silver age. If the cartoons of my youth are golden age of cartoons, then the 90s was the silver age.
Yeah.
Some great cartoons in the 90s. And again, I say that as a man that was an adult when those cartoons come out in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I sure sat and watched them with my kids.
My dad would sit and watch Rocky and Bullwinkle with me when it came out. That and my grandfather and I would sit and watch the Pink Panther when I was the original, not the new one. And after the Pink Panther, now this is in Miami, Doctor Who would come on. So I'd see my Pink Panther, and Granddad and I would sit and watch the Fourth Doctor and all over his adventures, and then we'd watch Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Lindsay says, I'm probably the only person who grew up in the 80s that didn't get into Saturday morning cartoons. I was a PBS kid. My kids got into both. We had our favorite cartoons, and we sure had our favorite PBS shows. As I've mentioned on this show before, you had Ghost Rider, you had Wishbone, man, and all those. I'd loved. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that in the game, man. I love.
Oh yeah. The game was good.
I never caught in the game, but it's like
Yeah.
I watched the cartoon like crazy. And how they said like who they said they oh yeah, Cynical Lindsay talking about she was never like Saturday morning cartoon thing. Now here's how deep how I was when the Saturday morning cartoon. Now when I was growing up, where I lived at, things like that, from like what I think from 12 to like 6:30, you had like the little right there. All right, I was up when it was going on. Then they play like the then they play like the Star Spangled Banner thing before everything started coming on. That's how deeply I was before it even broke day. Like I was up ready for the cartoons to come on.
Oh shoot! Saturday mornings I was up at the crack of dawn.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a little kid, I was up at the crack of dawn just so I could start watching them as soon as they come on. And in my area, there were cartoons on. Thank you, Pincalo. Real quick, for the donation. What do you think of the original Hercules? Are you talking about the one that came out in the 60s, the cartoon? Because I barely remember that. As I recall, from what I remember of it, I liked it, but I barely remember. And having said that, you know how it is on my streams. And it's time for the old man to go visit the old man's room real quick. So Maddie and Pat, carry on. I'll be right back.
All right, we got it right here.
Yep.
And as always, do what you do, like, subscribe to Bloodwing if you haven't already and things like that, like, share, and donate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as good as Sarah would do. Like, he always have a message when he did this right here, and it would go by perfectly.
Exactly. He's like the MC of shilling.
Yeah. I told you, if I'm ever going to live stream, I got to get my shield game down.
Oh shit! I forget. I that's why I do it on Twitch, because I can actually let the Nightbot do it for me. Shit. I'll usually at the end, but most of the time I'll just sit there and do my thing and totally forget that I'm supposed to shill. I had a couple of people when I be in my Discord a lot get mad at me, going, "You have to show more." Well, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting.
Yeah. Especially when you get all into your topics, like this topic right here with the cartoons. Like I said, I grew up during the '80s, so it's like all my cartoons growing up, the He-Man, the Thundercats, the Transformers and things like that. It was a lot of action, and it was also a lot of comedy up in there. I think like what my time, like the Pink Panther, the one with the kids. That's when that one came out during my time. Like you had the one, like I said, the little kid always like following around the older one with his tail.
Right. And then there was I think it was a little later on, even though I didn't watch what is it? The Animaniacs.
Oh yeah.
That is with my kid, and we had a lot. I didn't realize until I started watching clips how many adult jokes were actually in the Animaniacs.
Oh man, they got away with a lot.
Toon
Like,
Adventures. Oh my god!
yeah, between like what WB and Nickelodeon. Oh, kid, God, especially Nickelodeon.
Right?
Any chance they got to put like some adult stuff into the cartoons, they took it. Like, let's see if we can sneak this up in here.
Mhm. The whole thing about Prince. Did you finger Prince?
Yeah,
Oh, that was one of my favorite episodes. We talking about got to be talking about Animaniacs.
yeah. Talking
Yeah.
about find Prince. I found Prince. No fingerprint. I don't think so.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, it's like they captured the one thing that a lot of people, they didn't know, because
Mhm.
when I saw that skit, it reminded me of Abbott and Costello's "Who's on First."
Mhm.
Okay, did you fingerprints? I don't think so. And immediately my brain went to "Who's on first? What's on second?" I don't know.
Now, see again, Animaniacs when it came out, I was already an adult, so I got the jokes.
Me too.
You know, where it went over the kids' head, until they grew up. But
Yeah. Yeah. Hello, nurse.
Oh man.
Pinky in the Brain. Yes. Pinky in the Brain. Are you
Oh
thinking? I'm thinking. I think so. Where are we going to find rubber pants our size?
well, I'm a fan because the lead into my old videos used to be a Pinky and the Brain kind of conversation between me and
Yeah.
Melvin.
Yeah.
What are you going to do today? I'm going to try to take over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Which I trip off called like they had developed that cartoon theory behind it that Pinky was actually the genius and like how they would explain. I'm like, well, that does sound, that does sound like 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 Pinky would be the genius, like making sense, like because only a genius would sit up here and think of the stuff that Pinky is thinking whenever our brain is acting like, are you pondering what I'm pondering? I'm like, yeah, you know what, that does sound like something a genius would do
Yeah.
because they're always thinking.
Well, there is always hints to it that Pinky is really a genius in disguise,
Mhm.
like an idiot savant.
Yeah.
Uh, but Albert Arce's Animaniacs need to come back. Actually, about a year ago, I seen and it was actually the person that voiced Yakko. Said that there is a limited Animaniacs series in the works.
Yeah.
Now,
For Hulu.
I haven't heard anything about it since, but
Let's see. Back October 9th, it says from sci-fi.com, if I may.
Uh-huh.
Animaniacs voice cast confirmed for reboot, the turning trailer, Dr. Sleep posters, blah, blah, blah. So the original cast from the Animaniacs is going to be in the reboot.
Yeah.
So it says the Animaniacs are coming back to TV and they'll sound just like you remember after news broke early last year that the animated classic series would be getting a new iteration on Hulu from returning executive producer Steven Spielberg. The fandom was abuzz but full of questions. So yeah.
It wouldn't be the same if they didn't sound the same.
Yeah, you have to have the original cast. So yeah. That's been, of course, there's a rumor floating around that not the entire cast is going to be coming back because it is Hulu, but so far, the other day, because I heard whispers again on Twitter yesterday about it and looked on IMDb, and yeah, the entire cast seems to still be on the reboot roster. So the original cast seems to be on the reboot roster.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like I said, the person that I saw was the person that actually voiced Yakko, and he also voiced some of the other characters in the show.
Yakko and Pinky.
Yeah. And he was on board. I know that for sure because he was talking about it. But yeah. Elwin says, I still think Drunkle, when he gets really riled up, sounds exactly like Pinky. Well, he might. I don't know.
Narf.
Yeah, Narf.
Point.
Yeah. But yeah, and you know, part of what made those cartoons in the 90s that were so great, what made them great is they were original. They were new. They were, you know, I mean, you can't get more original than Animaniacs. And yes, there was the Looney Tunes connection with the Animaniacs, of course, but that was all new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where today it seems like, yeah, not so much. And it's not even the way that cartoons look sometimes for me, because my favorite cartoon of all time is and will always be the original Johnny Quest, the
Oh yes.
1960s Johnny Quest. Now, that was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Now, if you know much about Hanna-Barbera, they're not known for the best animation. I mean, even Flintstones. Look at an old, because that was Hanna-Barbera as well. Look at an old episode of the Flintstones. The animation's not the greatest.
No, of course.
A lot of reused, you know, scenery and so forth. But it wasn't that. It was the characters and the writing and the, you know, the style made you overlook that. You didn't notice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you couldn't do it because Haji's problematic.
Oh yeah, Haji would be problematic.
Oh,
That'd
he
be
is. Good luck finding, because I would love to have it all on DVD, the original Johnny Quest.
Me too.
I think they only had what, 2.5 or 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I
About
think
that.
it was 2.5. But I would love to have them on DVD, but you cannot find an uncut version because they cut out all the supposedly racist stuff with Haji.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that, because Haji was obviously smarter than Johnny. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was obvious.
Yeah. I just
Maybe that was the problem. He was smarter than Johnny, and our people aren't supposed to be this smart. Then we can't, then we can't oppress them.
Yeah.
it's like the whole hullabaloo because I don't have Disney Plus, so I didn't see it. But the whole hullabaloo around them cutting out the crows when they added Dumbo to Disney Plus. I'm like,
Oh,
you
God.
cannot cut. I don't care what you keep saying the undertones are for those crows. They're a major pivoting point in the movie.
Yeah. And they were
Yes.
hilarious.
They were.
Okay.
They were hilarious. There was, yes, I get it that they were supposed to be, you know, to represent stereotypical blacks of the day. I get
Well,
that.
that's how they sound back then. That's what made them so good.
Yeah, and that's
it
what made
was,
them funny.
and it wasn't a
They
disrespectful.
no, they were not shown in a bad light at all.
No.
In fact, they were the first ones to start to try to help Dumbo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah,
So
that one I don't get.
Okay, according to Rhetorical Entertainment, the crows are still in there. He's got Disney Plus because of his family members.
oh, good. So I'm like
Okay.
saying, like, you can't take out the crows, man.
What got me was, when they were coming up with the Disney Plus stuff, and there was, the one thing that we're not going to ever take out of the vault or put in any of our apps or anything is Song of the South. Really?
Well,
Oh,
yeah. Well, that's been off the market for years and
that's
years
cool.
now.
But still, it was good. And I'm like,
Oh, well, sure it was. Sure it was. I seen it on TV on the Wonderful World of Disney back in the 60s. You know, when
yeah.
they in the 60s there was a TV show called The Wonderful World of Disney that was on every Sunday night.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it was a big deal because it was in color.
Yeah.
And they would show either an old Disney cartoon or some Disney show like Davy Crockett or Old Yeller I seen on there, or something like that.
Mhm.
It's a
Mhm.
great show.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I get their complaints about it, but it wasn't shown in a disrespectful manner. It was what it was showing was these old wives' tales and fables that were rampant in the black community at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They just didn't want to understand that part. They're just too busy pointing and seeing racism and everything.
And man, it had some classic songs in there.
Mm.
Mr. Bluebird,
Yep.
Camptown Races,
Mm-hmm.
just yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the Dumbo and his mother scenes. Yeah, it makes me cry too. Just like the Fox and the Hound,
Oh,
where she has to cut the fox loose. I'm just every time I'm like, I gotta leave the room now. I
uh,
gotta. I don't care how old you are. Disney still has parts in movies that tug on your heartstrings and that make you reach for the tissue. I don't care how tough you think you are. There's that one movie Disney made that has that one part in it that you can't watch without shedding at least one tear.
that's true. And that was a good thing on Dumbo right there because I think what Dumbo is like what like probably one of the very few like animals and stuff like that did have a mom.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, Disney was real big on killing off moms, making orphans.
Because I think they said something about like I think Walt Disney like lost his mom and stuff like that. So that was like one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have like Lion King. That wasn't his mom he's lost, but he lost his dad.
Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, Disney seems to be real big on that.
They
Oh
do.
yeah.
They really do.
One parent got to go. You can't have two parents. One got to go.
Yep.
Right?
Bambi. You know,
Oh,
Of course, that scene in Bambi, I never tried at that. I usually said, "Oh, I bet she was tasty."
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I said.
Right?
Well, shit. There's some
I,
good jerky.
yeah, I love me some venison. Oh yeah.
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 There's this one, I can't remember the name of the channel, but they take Disney songs and instead of trying to cover them, what they do is they take the music and their lyrics are what they see on screen.
Yeah.
So they're singing about what's actually happening on screen instead of what the lyrics actually were. And in the Hercules movie, in that part where his parents show him who he is, they make a joke about exposition, and when they give him the medallion, he goes, "I'm singing to this medallion." Sitting there cracking up my lip because it's so cynical. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Ariador says where the red fern grows. That brings
Uh,
back a very warm memory.
Mhm.
My mother, who's been gone, it'll be 5 years next month. When us kids were growing up, she is the sole reason that all of us are readers. All of us, all of us kids are huge readers. Because mom would actually read to us, and at one time it was she read us the where the red fern grows. And I'm not talking kid stories. I mean, she'd read full out novels and the classics like Robinson Crusoe and 1001 Arabian Nights. Mom read all that stuff to us.
Mhm.
We just sit down, and it was family time, and she'd read to us, and we were just enraptured, just sit and listen. And because of that, we all became really big readers. And yeah, that brings you mentioned that, and it brings back warm memories because that is one of the books that she read to us.
oh yeah, Lion King. Now Dick Train. Lion King was based upon Shakespeare. I think what,
Shakespeare.
Macbeth.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, another thing like Meta was saying earlier, like about Bambi and things like that. I think the only tripped out apart to me about Bambi is like when you hear about Bambi, Bambi is mostly associated with like I'm saying a female's name and things like that. But a lot of people tend to forget Bambi was a boy.
Yeah, he's a prince. Yep,
Yep.
he was a prince. He was the prince of the forest.
Yeah. Because he grew up to be a stag like his father, who was the king of the
Mhm.
forest.
Yeah, but it's like the name ain't treated as so. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, it's because it became a female name in our society because there were girls that were named Bambi.
mhm.
I think it's a part of it. But yeah, all the classics. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now they're just trying to make everything live action, and it's a blatant cash grab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'll be the first person. I like Will Smith. Sorry, honey, you ain't no Robin Williams.
man.
You
No.
know, they shouldn't have even taken a look at that and go, let's do a live action. No,
Well,
no.
I like him too, although he has done some stinkers.
Yeah.
But I like him too. Don't get me wrong. I think if he gets the right material, he's a good actor, although he tends to play the same character over and over. But the one movie that I really did not enjoy his was Wild Wild West. And it was because it was stepping all over one of my treasured shows of my childhood.
See, I'd never seen Wild Wild West, so I guess I was spared that.
Yeah, I mean, I like Will Smith, and the movie wasn't bad, but if you were familiar with the source material, you're like, no, no, just no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like that with Dr. Doolittle and stuff like that when they switched from to Eddie Murphy, which I've been tripping off a lot of people on Twitter too because they see like the new Dr. Doolittle and stuff like that, and it's gonna be Robert Downey Jr. And of course, some people on Black Twitter got mad and stuff like that. This is mad. How they going? I'm like, have you not seen the original Dr. Doolittle? Like I said, before it was Eddie Murphy, it was a white dude. So
Yeah,
stop barking.
yeah,
Before
yeah.
it was
But
a white dude, it was a book. So
how are you going to improve on that? When I was a kid, we actually had a record that was the soundtrack to Dr. Doolittle. Had all the
Mhm.
songs on that record,
yeah.
and what was that actor's name? Oh, for Pete's sake, I can't think of it. I can see his face right in front of me, and you can't think of his name. But I'm not sure that you could really improve on the original because it was such a great movie.
Mhm.
Very good movie.
Well, wait, there are some things that they haven't. Hollywood hasn't realized yet that not everything needs a remake and not everything needs to be tokenized. Now,
Mhm.
it's there are some movies you just leave alone. It's like when I did my video on Little Women, they're bitching that not enough men are going to go see it. Okay, excuse me. It's a movie about a book about women
Yeah.
Mhm.
coming of age. How many men do you think are going to go see a movie about women coming of age in 19th century in the 19th century?
Not many.
No.
It's like in this whole woke universe we found ourselves in, this freaking nightmare as I call it. They completely forgot what marketing and a target audience is.
Yeah. Exactly. Sheargrass says, "What's a record?" Well, I'll explain it to you the same way I explained it to my kids the first time they seen vinyl. This is a really big CD. Is what this is, kids, and this is what Dad listened to when he was young. Billy or Willingham says he hates the new Dukes of Hazzard. It's supposed to be a family show, and Jesse wasn't supposed to be a criminal. I have not seen it, so I couldn't tell you. But if you recall, when Dukes of Hazzard first started out, it made it very clear that Uncle Jesse was a moonshiner, but he changed his ways.
Yeah.
He changed his ways. So yeah,
The new Duke's hat. He's talking about the one with Willie Nelson in it.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so
I watched it, and that I'm saying the only reason why I watched the movie is because of two things: Willie Nelson and Burt Reynolds. Other than that, that movie, ugh.
well, that's one of the reasons I really like this game that I've been replaying. I've played it before. That Saints Row the Third,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
how can you not like a game that has Burt Reynolds in it? It has a
I do
lot of
not like
famous
anything
voices
that got Burt Reynolds in it. I'm like, come on now.
because Burt Reynolds voices the mayor, and they make him look like Burt too.
Mm.
He voices the mayor. It's got a lot of big names in it. Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
voices a character in it. It's just a lot of stuff. But yeah,
No, I think it was a PS2 game that I found in a bargain bin completely by mistake. It was the Evil Dead video game. And yes, in case you guys are, wondering, it did have our favorite boy doing lines in the game. And yes, he would say, "This is my boomstick."
yeah.
Because I played the game and I had to get. Oh my god, I enjoyed the game for the not so much for the graphics because it was an older game, but the graphics weren't that bad. But the whole game was just fun, just to hear him say the lines.
Yeah. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce.
Yep.
I love that movie series. Love it. And it's just a testament to, if you've got the will, just how far you can go. Because remember the original, because we look at Bruce Campbell now and he's big and he's famous, and the other person's a famous director and everything now. But when they made the first Evil Dead, they weren't famous.
Yeah.
They were college students.
Yep.
The cabin they used was one of them's uncle's cabin. The old Oldsmobile that they drove up in was, I believe it was Bruce's car. It's one of their cars. It's really his car. They were nobody and filmed it on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of the cult classics are like that. Then they just blow up.
Yeah. Oh, hey, baby. Mom Minnie out in the chat. I'm on my new computer, by the way. You probably know nothing about that. I don't get to talk to her much anymore since she's in Michigan.
Carlo, I don't want to see the list of remakes. I want to be able to, if it was legal and I had the ability, I would take Nikado Avocado's fucking cinnamon broom, go to Hollywood, bop each of them on top of the head and go, make your own ideas. Leave my movies alone.
I mean, there are some movies that probably deserve a remake, but not many.
No, I mean, to me, I would accept it if it, how am I going to put this? If it improved the story, like added to the already existing story when you remade it in order to maybe fill in or explain plot holes that were present in the first iteration of the movie, like that. But don't remake it and change the theme, because then it's not the same movie.
Yeah.
I liked it when Lucas remastered 4, 5, and 6 because he didn't change the story. He just added in the CG elements that he couldn't before when the movies first came out because the technology wasn't there.
And when I say there's some movies that probably deserve a remake, that's mostly because the technology today has advanced to the point where it could benefit from the new technology. But those are few.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? They're going to take Gone with the Wind and try to remake that? No, they wouldn't be able to. It's racist.
I don't know nothing about busting no babies, Miss Scarlett.
Go ahead, Pat.
If only when it comes to these remakes, like I said, they could have been like how they was with The Princess Bride, because that's the one movie where everybody, when they said like, oh, they're thinking about remaking The Princess Bride, and everybody was like, hell no.
No.
How do you replace Andre?
You can't.
No, you can't.
You can't replace anything in that movie right there. I mean, as soon as it came out, everybody, that's the one everybody had agreed. They said no, and oh yeah, no.
No, it was lightning in a bottle. You can't do that twice. You can't take that movie, remake it, and expect the same shit, because it's not. That was lightning in a bottle. It's like 2-3 months ago when this idiot wrote an op-ed piece going, they should make Gandalf female, and I'm like, no, fuck no, hell no, no, and I wasn't the only one going, no.
No. As far as I know, there were no female. That just shows they know nothing of the Tolkien lore,
They don't care.
No.
because the wizards were not human. They were a race unto themselves.
Hmm? They were born of the gods that were born of the
Yeah.
supreme god. So, they were kind of like demigods in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were not human. They were not like one of the Middle Earth races. They were a race all unto themselves.
Yeah. And then you had, all these people that are complaining that, oh, Tolkien's world was so white. I'm like, you haven't read the Silmarillion. You didn't pay attention to the trilogy, right? Because
Have
the
you?
the Easterlings and the Haradrim are not white.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. Nor were the orcs or the Urukai.
Mm-mm. I mean, it's just in terms of humanoid races in the Tolkien legendarium, the Easterlings and the Haradrim ranged anywhere from having Asian features to actually having Middle Eastern and African features. So, no, Tolkien's legendarium wasn't 100% Caucasian. You people didn't pay attention or didn't even read the Silmarillion or any of the extended works. You just saw the movies and started bitching.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they can't claim, patriarchy, because one of the most powerful characters in the universe was Galadriel, and she's female.
Mm-hmm.
Even Gandalf deferred to her.
I mean, these people don't understand. They pop off at the mouth without knowing everything, and that's what frustrates me. Like, people are like, well, somebody got pissed off at me 2 weeks ago when when they were asked to list the Star Wars movies, and I listed 7, 8, and 9 as fan fiction. They
Yeah.
responded to me, it's canon. I'm like, yeah, whatever you say.
And yes, rhetorical entertainment. Tolkien also had orcs and goblins as synonymous. He
Mhm.
also mentioned that the Urukai were manufactured orcs, so genetically modified. They were, but they were based on the orcs, and perfected from the orcs. Now, the orc. Oh, geez, I'm going to try not to bore you with a bunch of stuff. The orcs were actually twisted elves.
Yeah. They were elves that were due to dark magics twisted into the Urukai. That's how the Urukai came to be, and they were made by Saruman after he casted off his white to be Saruman of the many colors.
But the orcs themselves were twisted elves. They had the Dark Lord had taken them, tortured them, twisted them, and they became the goblins. Which, if you read The Hobbit, they're usually referred to as goblins.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you move into the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he starts calling them orcs. But yeah, they were interchangeable as far as the term goes.
Yep, it was.
Tolkien was the first person to make elves tall instead of little impish creatures too. Yeah, I would believe that. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I think it could have been that, and the fact that instead of calling them the way they called them, I was putting the rise of bile, the last Mary Sue, and the rise of salmonella. Because I nicknamed 7, 8, 9 because I'm like, that's not Star Wars. Because good Lord. And then they're getting a taste of their own medicine because, since all the Raylo shippers didn't get their Raylo ship because dude died, they're literally stalking Adam Driver and his wife. They're issuing death threats to J.J. Abrams. I'm like, oh yeah, but it's the original Star Wars fandom that's toxic. Sure, okay.
Now, I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings trilogy because I had read the books back in the 70s, long before there were movies, before it was popular.
Yeah.
And I was skeptical because I was like, oh, they're going to mess this up. Oh, Lord, they're going to mess it up, and that's one of the reasons there hadn't been a movie made up to that point.
Yeah.
Because it was so hard to stick to the source material. That's why they divided it up into 3 movies, because there was technically 3 books. But uh, by and large, although it's not exactly like the books, the air of the books is still there in the places where it veers away a little bit.
The
So
animated,
it's not so hard to swallow.
yeah, they said Random America, the animated
Mhm.
movies don't count. To a point, they count, but the animated movies, now the animation and the artwork in those animated movies were absolutely beautiful for their time, and
Yeah.
I could still go back and absolutely love the artistry. But as far as following the books were concerned, Random, oh my God, they chopped up the books 7 ways to Sunday.
Yeah. And who was it? The voice? Orson Bean.
Mhm.
But having said that, I was a little disappointed with parts of it in The Hobbit, especially The Hobbit, because there were two of my favorite characters in that universe that were either passed over really quickly or not even mentioned. One is Bjorn,
Mhm.
didn't even get a mention that I remember. And the other is, oh, what is his name? The fellow whose house they stayed in.
Oh, with all in other words, they rescued. Yeah, you're talking about Tom Bombadil when he
Tom
rescued
Bombadil.
Willow. Yeah, yeah, I would have loved to have seen him in the movies. I mean, it was just the thing is, The Hobbit could have been done in 2 movies. They kind of stretched it out. And they did it. I'm sorry. As much as I like Legolas in The Lord of the Rings, he was not in The Hobbit. He didn't need to be in The Hobbit. You didn't need to have a fucking love triangle because it wasn't in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, yes, there was interaction with the Wood Elves, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it didn't mention as being Legolas or anything like
Mm-mm.
that.
Nope.
That was just a blatant tie over to the Lord of the Ring movies to make it more popular with
The fangirls.
the people that had never read the books but watched the movies.
Because they had to have Orlando Bloom because they're the fangirls. Because the fangirls going to go see it because there was Orlando Bloom. Oh, jeez, fuck.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Random. I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy stayed pretty close to the source material, not so much The Hobbit.
Yeah, not so much.
Oh yeah, the Hobbit.
It started out okay, and then it just kind of veered off. I'm like, yeah, it's just. Mm-mm.
I was disappointed. The one thing that I was disappointed with in the Lord of the Rings, and it's a forgotten part of the books. The story goes on in the
Mhm.
books after Sauron has been defeated.
Yeah,
They return to the Shire. The
the burning
story
of the
goes
fire.
on,
Yeah.
and they go back to find that the Shire has been taken over by somebody calling himself Sharky, who
Mhm.
turns out to be Saruman.
Yep.
And it's an important part of the story because it explains how Sam become the savior of the Shire, and they actually went to battle, Sam and Pippin and Merry, with Saruman and his men, and it also more fully explains that the ship that went to the Grey Havens
Mhm.
also at one point came back for Sam because he was technically a ring bearer. They never went into that really deeply, that it was only the ring bearers. Gandalf got to go because he was a ring bearer,
Yeah.
to the Grey Havens. And it just, that part was left out. And I don't know why. And I don't understand why that part was left out. But
Well, there was also, the part over there in Helm's Deep where the elves came. There were no elves in Helm's Deep in the book because they were fighting their own wars in their own elvish territories. They didn't have time to send anybody down to help the Rohirrim. They were on their own.
yeah. Mike Savage says Blarg. I'm sorry. Is that because we're talking Lord of the Rings? I'm sorry. I'm a fanboy. I'm sorry. You're going to get that some of the time. I'll
I said
never.
with the Lord of the Rings, I like the movie, like I said, but I think the number one thing I really remember about the Lord of the Rings is that famous car scene.
The what?
The car scene where where like what Sam and Frodo are like in the field and things like that. They like zoom out and you can see like the car in the background.
Oh, I don't think I've ever paid attention to that.
Yeah, all the bloopers. Yeah. Yeah. Just like and everybody's heard of the Wheel of Time series and stuff. And Ronan told me earlier today that he hadn't read it. I'm like, look, it's a really good series. I don't have anything against Robert Jordan. Okay, nothing. That man could tell a story. The likes of Tolkien. The only thing I hated reading the books was the fact that it took this MFer anywhere between 1 to 3 pages to describe every tavern, the depth of the dust, if there were peaches in the I don't care if there's fruit in the porridge. If it doesn't move the story, don't spend 3 paragraphs describing it. I don't care. Just
Mama Manny says they need to mention Tom Bombadil. That bothered me most. Yeah, I mean, I agree, because he was really a fairly major character in the story, and so was Bjorn.
Yeah. If they were going to be 100% like true to the book, the first Lord of the Rings movie would have just been the hobbits leaving the Shire, bumping into Tom Bombadil, going into the Barrow Downs and being rescued again.
Yeah.
By Tom in their journey going toward, the prancing pony in Bree.
Yeah. But yeah, all of my kids have read the stories, and I, of course, read them to them when they were children. So they've been fans since they were little kids. Again, long before the movies come out.
Yep.
Mike Savage says, nah, just my universal greeting on streams. Bad habit from Red versus Blue. Okay. Well, see, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody was bored with it, because I know not everybody's a fan.
Yeah.
It's nerd stuff. But I am unapologetically a nerd, have been for a long time, probably since before the term got invented.
Yeah, Dick Trent, I will admit, in terms of the interaction between Bilbo and Smaug, they had a ringer, because they already knew those two could work together from the Sherlock series.
Yeah.
So I think that casting was deliberate, because they knew when you had Cumberbatch and dude playing Bilbo, whose name I can't ever fucking remember, on the same screen together, that was going to be gold, because they always
that went pretty well. That went very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm a fan, and I was happy with the movies overall. Like I said, there are some things that aren't exact to the book, but the spirit of what Tolkien intended was still there, so you were able to overlook that.
Well, there were some small things that made me excited, like the way they depicted the Ents. Not necessarily the whole interaction, because, the Ents didn't say this isn't our war in the book, but I loved how they depicted the Ents. I loved that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was very good. Yeah. There were some issues with the way they portrayed Shelob, the big giant spider.
Mm-hmm.
But that I caught and kind of nagged at me a little bit, but overall, they stayed pretty close to the source material, and I was happy. I thought the scene where Strider jumps off the boats and all those ghosts were with him was just fantastic. I thought that was well done.
That was good. And I because when they were in Moria, I was waiting for the key, because it wasn't the fact that it was supposed to be comical, but I kind of laughed at it in the book when he got to where Gandalf looks at Mary and goes, "Full of a took, throw yourself in next time."
Yeah.
I mean, I know it wasn't supposed to be funny, but I'm looking for that. And when that was in the movie, I'm like, okay, I'm happy. I'm happy. This moment's in here. I'm happy.
I remember when I first read the books, it was in the late 70s. And I was reading through them. And of course, I started with The Hobbit, read through that, and then read through the books. And I'm going to be honest with you. The first book of The Lord of the Rings is a tough read to start out with.
Yeah.
It's hard to get going in that book because the first part of it's it's a little boring.
Yeah, the setup is a little boring.
The whole birthday party and all that thing, but once you get past that, then you got it made.
Yeah.
But I remember reading it, and the I think it was the first book ended with the scene of Gandalf and the Balrog.
Yeah.
And Gandalf's last word is "Run, you fools!"
Yeah, flee, you fools.
Yeah, and I'm like, I remember throwing the book and being just furious, like, no, 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 because he was so my favorite character up to that. Well, next to Aragorn, I'm just fascinated with Aragorn, but
admittedly, I was taking a bath when I got to that part of the book, and I just kind of started crying. I'm like, what the hell? No, not Gandalf.
Now, having said that, I was ecstatic when I read further into the books and he's back.
Yes.
I was just like, yes, yes. He didn't die. Well, he kind of did. It's kind of unclear what happened to him. He's not even sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's how much I was into him. I mean, I seriously threw the book down and almost didn't want to read anymore. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Then there was, I think it was Mary or Pippin. I can't remember which one. That was with the Rohirrim. It was Pippin, because they said, well, we don't have a pony that is small enough for you. None of our horses can go, ride two people. And my parents heard me laugh from the bathroom, because when he said, even if it's hanging off a stirrup of your war horse, I want to go into battle with you. And the reason I was laughing is because my imagination was picturing this hobbit flapping in the wind as it's holding on to a war horse stirrup.
Yeah. Beth Castleman says had never read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. If you haven't, even though you've seen the movies and you're going to know what some of the events are before they happen, I still recommend. To this day, I've read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings through at least 4 or 5 times, completely through. And every once in a while, I'm about due to do it again. I'll just get them out and read them, because every time I read through it, I catch something I didn't catch before.
If you are interested, and if you are not working, and if you are available on my Geek channel at noon Central Time with wonderful Sage and Skep, we are actually going through the Silmarillion right now on stream. So
yeah, but yeah, Beth, I would highly recommend reading it. Of course, starting with The Hobbit. Just bear in mind, like I said earlier, the first few chapters of The Lords of the Rings are tough to get through.
Yeah,
they're just tough. It feels like it took Tolkien a couple of chapters to get his mojo going. Now once it did, it just keeps rolling and it don't stop. The man's a very good writer. He's very adept at sucking you in, at character development. I mean, good grief, he invented more than one language from the ground up for these books.
He invented an entire world and timeline.
Yeah. But it's if you haven't read and if you like to read it. I would highly recommend that. Shio, are you sleepy or just bored?
I think he's saying that the Lord of the Rings stuff bores him. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. But if you're into that kind of thing, highly recommend it. If you've never read it, highly recommend it. And then if you get through those and enjoy it, then pick up the Silmarillion. But do not jump in the Silmarillion just off the get-go.
No, I'm reading it for the first time, and
it's a very tough, very deep read, and you have to be a huge Tolkien fan to get anything out of it. But it's okay. We're almost done. It's we're almost at the end of it, and in fact, we've got about 6 minutes left here to the stream. So yeah, you guys will get a reprieve. You don't have to listen to it anymore.
I've been like it's been a good listening.
Yeah.
As y'all going, I'm sitting right here like it was just like, man, I'm liking this.
Oh, there are some things that I'm sort of an expert at, kind of, sort of,
Mhm.
And one of them is the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, that whole thing, because I'm just so into it. The other's classic rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I've proven this. I've actually played a game of Trivial Pursuit that was rock and roll,
Mhm.
and I can't be beat. I cannot be beat. But yeah, one of those things that I'm pretty knowledgeable on is Lord of the Rings, as
Yeah.
you can probably tell.
Yeah, I kind of cracked up our dear lovable sage. Everybody can find him on Twitter because him and Skep were going back and forth on one stream when we first started diving into the Silmarillion, and I hadn't read it yet, so I'm quiet. I was kind of like Matt, just quiet. And they're like, "We've just taken over your stream." I said, "I'm just listening. Keep going."
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the Silmarillion is kind of deep. It's not for Tolkien beginners.
Yeah.
It's not. Look at it this way: it is basically the Bible for the whole world that he created.
Yeah, and he got a lot of flack from his priest for that because he was very devout Catholic, and his priest didn't like the fact that he had created an entire world with a different god and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh wow.
But yeah, it's a little bit tricky. It's tricky stuff, but if you are a huge Tolkien fan, it's a must read. But anyway, we are, as I said, getting at the end of it. This is the part where I thank the chat for coming out and listening and supporting. And gosh, you guys have done so much for me, and I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thank you, Maddie, for hanging out with us. Anything you want to shout out?
I'm going to shout out my little geek channel because I am getting ready to upload the news for the Lord of the Rings television show shortly. As soon as we get off the stream, I'm going to make that happen. And in case those of you are curious, yeah, my mom bone got tweaked as far as Mr. Avocado is concerned, and I responded to him twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happened.
Pat, it's been a little bit. Always love hanging out with you, man. We've been. I think you're probably my oldest YouTube friend. I don't know if you remember, but we met in the chat of Suit Yourself video that you. It was a collaboration that you done with him. So we've been kind of friends ever since then. Anything you want to shout out, buddy?
Yeah, mostly like, if you haven't checked it out, check out my Psycho Rick channel, which yesterday I dropped down a video of my outtakes, showing everybody like how the videos that I make and stuff like that don't come real easy, all the mess ups that I did.
Oh Lord, if you all had any idea how much editing I do on my voiceovers of Redneck Trek. The stuff that hits the floor and doesn't make it in.
Oh man, I got a few blooper reels on my geek channel from when I have goofed up trying to read. All of us have goofed.
Oh sure.
I know, with the stuff that I was dropping down, I was just like, There was a time where I was on a roll, and all of a sudden my phone went off, and I'm like, really?
The train got me. The train got me.
That's happened to me. Usually, what gets me is alerts, because my phone will alert every time somebody I follow uploads a video.
Yeah.
So I'll be trying to record, and here's my phone, because when it alerts, it does like a drum roll. That drum roll's going off. Damn it, I got to re-record that.
If it ever happens, I'll keep it for a blooper clip. But every once in a while, obviously I have a puppy, so every once in a while she gets rambunctious back here, so I have to wait for her to stop. But there are times that I've cracked up Ronan trying to film something and edit it out instead of left it for a blooper reel. When I'm on a roll, and all of a sudden, because I live pretty much in a quote unquote ghetto, and these idiots are too lazy to get out of their car and knock on the doors, I'll be on a roll. I mean, it'd be going honk honk. God damn it, call them.
Well, what I get with that, because I live in a redneck ghetto, and I get the loud hot rods.
Oh.
You know, rednecks in their cars.
Oh.
There's a reason Dukes of Hazzard was a thing, because it's mostly true. We do like our fast hot rods. And I'll be deep in a recording and have half of it, a long line, and then
Yeah.
doggone it.
Really?
As for me, real quick before I get to me, Shia Grass says, how long until Bill Belichick hires some of the fired cheating baseball managers as advisors? I don't think he needs any advising on cheating. He's got it down all on his own. Thank you very much. But as for me, there will be Redneck Trek next week, but I don't know what day, folks, because I haven't seen next week's schedule yet. I doubt there'll be a stream Tuesday, because I know for sure that I'll be off on Monday. So if I'm off on Monday, I'll probably have to work Tuesday, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. Redneck Trek should return, not this week, but next week for sure. Beyond promise, because I've already tested it out and this computer handles it like a champ. And the other exciting thing for me that I didn't mention is now with this computer, I might actually even be able to use OBS to stream with. So we're going to test that out, and we'll in days future. But yeah, be looking for that. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday will be, I believe it's episode 25. Wow, time flies.
Mm-hmm.
But Willie asks, do you have 6-pin power in your PC? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs of this thing yet. I just got it, and I'm still going through it. But anyway, be on the lookout for that stuff, and go support both these people, Maddie and Pat, and look at their channels and their videos and all that stuff. Again, thank you, chat, for coming out and supporting me as you always do. But as for now, and until then, get out of my yard.
Bye.
I